What's in the basket? Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate coming at you for yet again another fantastic independent horror movie gem review. This time I'm coming at you to do one of my famed movie slash Blu-ray reviews of the absolutely, in my opinion, amazing, astonishing, fantastic, independently made and like produced movie in the early 80s by the name of Basket Case. This is the Blu-ray that came out in 2011. Would have been its was that a 30th anniversary maybe perhaps probably. This movie came out in 1981, so that would have been I believe the 30th anniversary. So I'm here to review the movie and then a short review of this Blu-ray. Now it should be noted that just to show you, well, this should show you as well, something I made. I'll give you a little history at the end of that, just to show you how big of a fan of this movie I am. I saw this movie when I was 14 in the spring, and this is the original media VHS tape of Basket Case that I got previously viewed. Fantastic font and cover, and that's the original media VHS tape. What's it dated? 1983. Here is the very first DVD release of it that came out in, I don't know, the DVD release here is Roman numerals, and I'm not Roman, so I don't know. This DVD probably came out in who knows when, but this is the first DVD release of Basket Case. That came out, well, it came out before 2001 because the second DVD release of Basket Case came out in 2001 for the 20th anniversary. Here's the inside of the DVD case. This was put out probably whatever, late 90s by Image Entertainment. And here's the second DVD release of Basket Case with the same cover the Blu-ray would use. That came out in 2001. This was the 20th anniversary of the movie. So that's pretty much the same artwork as the Blu-ray. Anyway, on to the review of the movie. I saw this when I was 14. Just getting into, still getting into, I'm going to spend the rest of my life getting into horror movies because I'm, constantly seeing new horror movies. When I say new, I mean old ones, because those are the ones like this movie. The old gems are the ones that I really, really, really like. So Basket Case, like I say, I saw when I was 14 years old. Being physically different myself, I think, was one of the reasons that I'm so drawn to this series, or these characters as well, because I can very much obviously identify with these characters. So this movie was shot for a minuscule budget on 16mm written and directed by Frank Henenlotter, who would go on to do, I guess, Frankenhooker and whatever else. I don't think I've seen anything of his except for Basket Case 1, 2, and 3. But I don't know even where to start. This movie is just phenomenal, and the premise is phenomenal. I'll just briefly say the premise, which is it's such a great scenario, which is basically Dwayne Bradley and his basically a Siamese twin kind of freak brother, if you will, Belial, who is, as we see in the movie and later on in a flashback scene, actually grew out of his Dwayne's side. Dwayne being just kind of a quote-unquote normal, four-limbed and one-headed, kind of more quote-unquote normal physically developed person with this, basically this. This is my cardboard version of the Part 3 version of Belial that I did in probably 1992. And, that's what Belial looks like, and just imagine that kind of tilted over, growing out of his side. So this movie is basically about this, apparently the birth, giving birth to Dwayne and Belial killed the mom, and the dad's obviously pissed at that, which is understandable. Basically, the dad, conspired with three of these kind of just lowbrow, ghetto, whatever, just nasty-ass, whatever doctors to conspired with them to remove Belial, quote unquote, the deformity from Dwayne, and basically just put him in a trash bag next to the trash, and so Dwayne can have a quote unquote normal life. And the thing that's really cool about this movie, as we find out later, is that Dwayne obviously and Belial have this connection that's more than just like a brotherly connection. It's like this psychic connection, which is really cool. Which we find out really, Belial can talk to him basically just with ESP, which we kind of find out in a cool way mid-movie or whatever. The movie starts, so basically the premise of this movie is just these, it's about, Dwayne and Belial, who Dwayne carries Belial around in a wicker basket. The title is something that I should have mentioned also. I love the play on the title, the play on the actual, title of the movie, Basket Case, which kind of stands for two different things. Basket Case is known for being a term for just someone who's psychotic or whatever, and obviously you might be able to term Dwayne and or Belial psychotic or whatever, but in my opinion they're just kind of just doing whatever. I guess it's probably not the nicest thing to do, going around killing people, but I like to play on words. It could mean, crazy person, or simply what Belial is carried around in a basket. So first off, the title's fantastic for that reason. So this whole movie is about Dwayne and Belial hunting down the three doctors that, basically participated in the, operation against Dwayne and Belial's will when he was probably when Dwayne and Belial were probably 14 years old, or 13 or 14 themselves. So I kind of saw this movie at the same age that they, were when, the characters were when they were separated, and which is shown in a fantastic flashback. I don't really know how to even explain or express my complete and utter love for this movie. It's a lot of these movies back in the 70s and 80s that were shot on 16mm just with minuscule to no budgets, just like this is a perfect example of just, all kinds of big huge movies shooting, whatever, normal 35 and stuff at the same time that just sold this and whatever. But the Basket Case, in my opinion, has so much soul, and the flashback that happens kind of in maybe the beginning of the last third of the movie, where Dwayne is drunk and talks to this, this hooker woman. I think we're presumed to believe that she's like a hooker woman, Casey, and this fantastical, kind of confession, if you will, at the bar when he's drunk about his situation and his backstory. And we see in this fantastic montage of, being a teenager in the separation, the traumatic separation operation, and then, then we see them building something to kill, Dwayne rescues Belial from the trash bag outside by the trash, and then that night or whatever they build this contraption to kill their dad as revenge, and then their aunt takes them over, and we see all this stuff in these flashbacks and stuff, and then we see, the aunt being extremely supportive of these two and keeping them a secret, and Belial thought dead at the time. They live with her for a while until we see that she's dead, and it's just, I just rewatched this recently, and that montage by the end of it, I got tears in my eyes. It's just so fantastically done, and even the goofball synthesized music that's done for this movie, for that, the flashback scene is just, I'm not ashamed to admit that, yeah, I had tears in my eyes pretty much every time at the end when, that flashback scene happens. At the end of it, I'm tearful. It's done so fantastically. So I really don't, it's an amazing little 16mm movie, which profoundly affected me as a 14-year-old. I obviously rented this tape, or not this tape, but a tape like this from the video store, and duplicated it, because obviously it's not going to be copy protected, and later on I bought that, and obviously I bought these, and in the years since and stuff like that. So I really don't know too much specifically else what to say about the movie. The movie's, in my opinion, just absolutely fantastic. I'm going to give it a no-brainer. 4 out of 4 stars for a Basket Case. There's so much heart in this little, just goofy movie. The guy who plays Dwayne is just perfectly cast, in my opinion, as this, this character And what I love about the movie is we don't get the story. It's not like linear. We don't get the story. We don't he might be acting weird at the beginning of the movie and talking to the basket and doing all this kind of stuff. There's a situation where when he's casing the apartment of the second doctor or whatever, there's this, kind of voluptuous, and semi quote-unquote attractive. Apparently I listened to the commentary years ago when I got the DVD, and I think she was the actress was wearing a wig during this because she was like some punk rocker and she may have been bald or something. But she takes to Dwayne in the waiting room and asks him out, and basically he kind of turns her down, and then he puts the basket over in the corner and whispers to her, can I meet you whenever and stuff like that. Basically he doesn't want to. It's a really just, they don't explore it too much, but they do just enough. It's just a fantastic, the interplay between Dwayne and Belial. Like, Dwayne wants to be, he's kind of the more quote-unquote normal of the two, obviously, and he wants to live his life and date and French kiss, with receptionists, under the, whatever it's called, Statue of Liberty and stuff like that, but at the same time he wants to keep what he's doing from Belial because he doesn't want to hurt his feelings or make him feel left behind. But because Belial and Dwayne have that, psychic connection, he can't really, as we see in the movie, when Dwayne is on his day, he can't really sneakily, do things around Belial's back, because Belial and he have this connection. He buys this TV piece of crap for Belial that doesn't work and leaves him some magazines, and basically in the hotel, and basically when Dwayne and this receptionist are hot and heavy kissing and tongue and everything like that, Belial pops out of the basket and he knows what's going on, presumably, and trashes the apartment. Before this review ends, I should say the words Hotel Broslin. This movie takes place in a fictional made for this movie, Hotel Broslin. I don't know where the rooms were actually shot in. I don't know, the room itself may have been a set, I'm not sure, but the lobby, as we see in the special edition DVD and or Blu-ray, the lobby is just, they actually just put it in some elevator thing and just lowbrow whatever and stuff like that. But I've always felt, ever since I saw it and even rewatching it within the last week now, that the ghetto atmosphere in the Hotel Broslin was something that was always just really added to this movie and stuff like that. So I can't even recommend this movie enough. Belial, obviously, with no budget, is kind of obviously puppeted, and some very, well, I guess I was going to say very cool, but I guess I can say very cool attempts at, it's more than attempts. It is, stop motion animation they used very briefly to show Belial, kind of crawl around on the floor and throw things during his tantrum and stuff like that. This movie is absolutely magnificently conceived and executed, in my opinion. The goofball, the cast and the goofball synthesized score just adds to its, absolute amazingness. And it's just, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say about Basket Case. I could go on and on and on, but this review's probably already gone on too long. So let me just briefly, there's not a whole lot to say about the Blu-ray. Let me just briefly review the Blu-ray of Basket Case, which came out in 2011, which is the 30th anniversary of Basket Case. Now, very, very coolly, and I'm glad they did this, a lot of movies and Blu-rays of old movies and stuff like that, are actually, Evil Dead Blu-ray is a good example of actually having the best of both worlds, where Evil Dead, the full screen is actually the 133 thing, and the more square screen of Evil Dead, and also this movie as well. But Anchor Bay with the Evil Dead Blu-ray gave you the opportunity to see the whole image. Strangely enough, it's the whole image as this more square box, or the zoomed in matted 16 by 9 or 185 version of Evil Dead, which is you're losing information on top and bottom in order to fit it in the rectangular frame. This movie, this Blu-ray does the fantastic thing, of which I'm very grateful for, just doing the 133 as it's originally shot. He explains in interviews, before introduction before the Blu-ray starts, or an introduction you can pick if you choose to watch it. Back in the day, looking through the viewfinder, it's just more or less a square, and he just shot it for that, not thinking that when they blow it up to 35, they're going to crop it to 185 to show in the theaters or whatever. So first off the bat, they do a really cool thing by showing this movie in its original. I mean, it's the way we've always seen it, so it's not like you're seeing more. But luckily, unlike so many other transfers, namely of Plastic Case 2 and 3 to come, on DVD and or Blu-ray with the widescreen versions, you're losing information on the top and bottom. So first off the bat, you get the full 133 image of this movie. The transfer of the 16 millimeter. I don't know if it's from the. It just says new HD transfer preserving the original 16 millimeter camera ratio. So it doesn't say if it's from a negative or whatever. But from whatever it's from, the transfer of this movie is absolutely fantastic. And the sharpness is sharpness that really, for 16 millimeter, shouldn't even be so sharp, but it's really, really good. I probably did this audio commentary that was probably recorded for the 2001 DVD, probably back when I got that. I was going to listen to the commentary before this review, but I didn't. The commentary features writer-director Frank Henenlotter, producer Edgar Evans, and actress Beverly Bonner. I don't know if she's the Casey or the receptionist. I don't know. She's probably Casey. Rare outtakes and behind-the-scenes footage from the director's personal collection, which is really cool. It's, just footage that, raw daily footage and stuff like that from the camera. I think that's pretty much all it is, It's really cool to see just, various insights into what else they tried to do or whatever. 2 theatrical trailers plus TV spot, 2001 video short, In Search of Hotel Broslin, which features Frank Henenlotter and this other guy who's, I don't know who the hell this other guy is, but this is probably shot in the spring of 2001, while the Twin Towers are still standing, and little would they know that months later, anyway. But it's kind of cool just having Henenlotter and whatever. And this guy, I could have done without his little sidekick in this video, but walking around trying to get into that little lobby of where they filmed the basement of the, the booth of the Hotel Broslin, which was just made up in an elevator. Apparently they couldn't get into there to show them that. Got into this bar, this S&M bar where the bar scene was shot, and we see an interview and a recreation from this guy who played this guy all alone in this cold, cruel world. That guy, I can't remember off the top of my head because it's loud here, there's a helicopter or something like that. I can't remember what his name is, but he's a victim of Belial as that guy is, hold on, O'Donovan or something like that. He's this just hanger-arounder. He probably lives in the Hotel Broslin as well, and he sees that Dwayne's got a whole bunch of money, and he goes in there to steal it, only to be horribly killed by Belial. One thing that I just remembered right now thinking of that is the kills. This movie's pretty fantastically gory, and there's a shot of this guy. It's in one of these, it's somewhere. There's a shot of, I think it's inside this, when they track in on this character after being killed by, right here, after being killed by Belial. It looks like a real freaking corpse. The makeup on the scratches and gashes on his face, and looks like his nose is partly gone, and his expression is so real to make it look like he's dead right there. They do this kind of just moving the camera in towards his face as the women in the scene are screaming, or there's a screaming woman and stuff. I mean, for being like, so low budget, the gore in this movie is really cool, and Belial rips this one doctor in half, and there's just blood splatters on his face, and it's just fantastic. Obviously by today's standards, or maybe even standards of 1981, the Belial kind of creature and puppetry or whatever may leave a little bit to be desired, but in so many cases in these low-budget movies, you got to overlook that, because what's important is the actual story and the actual feeling it brings, not the fact that you can see the mold things around Belial or his fingers, or just not the fact that he's kind of obviously rubber or whatever. It's just that's just. Whatever. It's just, in my opinion, that's insignificant. But this movie also has this really cool kind of trippy scene in closing of Belial jumps onto the whatever it's called windowsill of Hotel Broslin. He's goes at night, and he's kind of just doing whatever, and he's just like whatever, and there's this cool dream sequence where it's like, and the music here is really cool too, where we see like Dwayne naked running down the streets of Manhattan or whatever, and over to the, you know, the house or whatever, apartment, wherever the receptionist lives, and she's like naked, and we see like this point of view going on top of her, and we don't know, it's like a dream sequence, we don't really know what's going on, and it's actually kind of like cool because it's actually Belial. He crawled over to her place and actually, like, I guess he killed her and then humped her afterwards. You know, screwed her afterwards. I'm not sure, but that's really kind of nasty and creepy. And so what we were seeing was kind of like just this really weird, maybe what Dwayne was dreaming, or the, you know, what Belial was getting from, or I mean Dwayne was getting from Belial, you know, from the ESP or whatever connection that they have. It's just really cool, just you know, thingamajig. And it's just like really cool, and it's just like you don't know what's going on, and it turns out that it's actually, you know, Belial going over there to do her, because, you know, it's just, I mean, he wants some too, you know. Obviously she's not going to be as accepting of Belial as she's going to be of Dwayne. But anyway, that's my review of Basket Case and the Basket Case Blu-ray. Fantastic. I mean, I can't recommend. Oh, I gotta very briefly tell you about this, which is something I made in 1991 after the release of Basket Case, or 1992 after the release of Basket Case 3. This is the Basket Case 3. I just drew this from pictures in Fangoria or wherever, even maybe just pausing the TV or whatever. It's the part Basket Case 3 likeness, which it's kind of cool of Belial. I tried to make him life-size. He's kind of life-size. And then, if you think that's cool, check this out. Yep. Bam. He even got the back of him drawn in there. So, not bad for, you know, a young teenager, however old I was at the time. Very much like my guitar from, you know, Slumber Party Massacre 2 that I made. This is my cardboard, because you can go to Target or Toys R Us and buy a Belial, so I made one out of cardboard. So that's my Belial, you know, Basket Case 3 Belial made out of cardboard, and still survived after all these years. And that wasn't enough for me. I had to have this is a Belial. This actually that one's kind of small. This one might be more, well, this one might be kind of big, I don't know, but regardless, this is the Belial from like a profile Belial cardboard. So this is like if you wanted to have him, you know how he sits on people and attacks them. He sits on their chest and he's choking them. This is what that's for. If you just wanted to play Basket Case in your house or whatever with your siblings, this is a profile of Belial, and this one, you know, this is just, I didn't bother with the back of it because it's just this profile. But these are the two little cardboard Belials, a profile and a front and back view of Belial. So thank you very much if you watched, you know, the video up until this point. I imagine it's very long, but I can't really stop talking about movies that I love. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen this movie and you like, you know, 70s, 80s, just kind of grindhouse, if you will, just independent 16mm horror and exploitation stuff. I mean, this is right up your alley. So thank you very much for watching my review of Basket Case, and as always, we'll catch you on the next review.